Hey guys, it's Casey with Accidental Homeschoolers. Today I want to talk about how do you homeschool just one kid? I had no sleep last night. My daughter kept waking up. So I have no idea how this video is going to turn out.
Every change has a reason. Baby, let it come to you.
Hey guys, how are you today? So today I wanted to talk about something that I don't see talked about a lot. And the reason I want to is because I personally am in this situation. So either you only have one child that you homeschool, like you only have one kid, or you're only homeschooling one child and all the other children that you have are younger and not school age. How do you teach just one? Everyone seems to think it's super easy. Not necessarily. If you are only homeschooling one child currently, no matter if you have more than one child, but you're only teaching one, can I get a like, please? I would love to see how many of you are just homeschooling one kid currently. There are actually some things that children that are homeschooled all alone don't experience. There's some things that I have discovered in the last 4 years of homeschooling. I have an 8-year-old son and we've homeschooled his whole entire school career. Now I have an 8-month-old daughter, so he's all by himself. He's been an only child for 7 years of his life. I myself am also an only child. I wasn't homeschooled, but there are lots of similarities. Children that are homeschooled alone don't always have a way of gauging their achievement. In a regular classroom, you know, you have students that are here, and some are here, and some are here, and some are here, and everything in between. And if your student is here and they never see this, they kind of don't have the ability to gauge, well, I could probably try a little harder. Because of not being able to see it, they just don't know. It's not something that they have experienced. This can be good and bad. You may, as a parent, have to push your child a little bit harder, but they're not necessarily going to understand the concept because it's not something they've actually experienced. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing because in homeschooling, you get to go at your child's pace. You know, it might take them an extra 6 months compared to what, you know, is expected in a public school classroom. You know, your child may struggle with something. They may be learning disabled, and that is totally fine. The beauty of homeschooling is that we have the ability to do what is necessary for our children, even if that means pushing them to their potential in a kind way. One thing that I have learned in the last 4 years from being a public school teacher to being a homeschool teacher is that there's no peer policing. And what I mean by that is that when you tell your child not to pick their nose in front of people, you know, please go to the bathroom and take care of that, they don't stop. Because they don't have other children maybe necessarily going, ew, that's so gross. And I could see some people thinking that, you know, that's great. I don't have to make my child feel bad. But there are certain things that in society we just have to do to get along. And picking your nose in front of people is not necessarily gonna, you know, maybe make any friends. You know, especially if you're a boy and you're getting older and you're in your 20s and you're still picking your nose, how are you going to find a wife? These are things that I joke with my son about. And of course at 8, he's like, ew, girls, mom? Ugh. I'm sure he'd rather pick his nose. But in a public school setting, there is peer policing. So it's something that has been a challenge for me to figure out how to explain to him, stop doing that, that's gross. And he's a boy. I mean, I didn't do that, but I was a girl, but he is a boy. So hopefully that will subside. So if you're a mom of an older boy, please leave a comment below and tell me about your experience. I'd really appreciate it. Another way that they may experience peer policing or learning to gauge their achievement might be at co-ops, or it might be at their extracurriculars. So that might be a way to help with stuff like that. One thing that I have learned from teaching only one child is that they may not learn to be self-reliant. They get so much one-on-one from you that I've noticed there's a constant like, hey mom, look at this. Hey mom, look at this. Hey mom, what am I supposed to do? Hey mom, what am I supposed to do? Like, that is normal for children, but I see it more in him than I saw in public school, only because, well, partially they could ask their neighbor sitting next to them, like, I didn't hear what she said. What are we supposed to do? The one thing that I want him to be able to achieve through this whole experience of homeschooling is learning to be self-reliant, not just going, hey mom, what's the answer to this? And instead of just expecting me to do the work, he'll go look it up. I would love for him to not automatically think, oh, let me go ask my mom. Let me go ask my dad. I want him to be able to go, how can I solve this for myself? Because as he gets older, there's going to be things that, he's going to have to learn on his own. So it is something that I spend a lot of time saying, what do you think the answer is? Mom, how could you find the answer out? What if I didn't know? What if I wasn't here? How could you figure it out? So these are things that I really want him to be able to learn throughout the years. Homeschool kids are also very driven normally on their own because they're used to having to be responsible for themselves and their schedule. They don't have someone saying you must be here at 7 o'clock, lunch is at this time, math is at this time. Yes, we have a schedule, but he doesn't have someone telling him that. Another way maybe to help with that is to give your child an independent study project. Something that they're super interested in. And you'd have to adapt it according to their age, but say your son or daughter is really interested in volcanoes or really interested in horses. Teach them how to find the answer. You could take them to the library if you can, because we still can't. Take them to the library and get them books. Or if you do the internet, help them do a search on the internet. You could print out some resources for them if your child is not able to Google things or you're very protective of their internet activity. You may have to help them a little bit, but what could they do with that information? Could they make a diorama? Could they make a poster? Could they make a movie? Could they make a PowerPoint? There are so many things that they could do. Could they do a presentation for your family or grandma and grandpa? There's lots of things that they could do, and it would help spark their interest. As someone who was raised as an only child, something that I discovered growing up is that you have a little more difficulty with relationships with people, especially your peers. You do really well with people that are older than you because you're always around adults, and that is also a trait that homeschool children do have. They're very comfortable with adults. But learning to work with others, learning to share, especially professional relationships, that's something that could possibly be difficult. Some of that has to do with personality and some of that is environment. But I found that very difficult as an only child, and I have seen that with my son just because it's a lack of experience. Now, his sister is crawling around and she likes to wreck everything he's doing, especially when they're playing together, and he gets really upset. So he is starting to get it, but because they have such a huge age gap, it's going to be a little bit different than those of you who have kids that are a year apart or 2 years apart, or you have many children. One thing also that I'm a little envious about for people that have several children, and especially several children that are close in the same age, is being able to do group subjects. This is probably more from a parent standpoint, but history and science and different types of units. My children have 7 years in between them. So by the time my daughter is school age, my son's going to be in 8th or 9th grade, and it's going to be very different. It's not like maybe elementary and middle, or middle and high school, or, a couple years in elementary. That's a huge gap. So it's going to be really different, and it's not really something we're going to be able to do. But he could also come in and help her with things because he's going to be older. So that will help him with that skill of learning to work with others. So there's a little give and a take. But one of the positives about it is that, for one, I'm trying things out and seeing what works. So by the time she's ready to start, I'll have it nailed. I may have to change a few things according to the way that she learns, but I can reuse, unit studies. I can reuse things that are from history or science that we've already purchased, and I could use them for her. So there is a plus in that, but also I'm a little sad that I can't do it with both of them. I'm sure there's some things. If you have done this, please leave a comment below because I would love to hear about it. I'm just not at that place yet. And if you are, or if you've already been there, please tell me about your experiences. So there are a few advantages of having just one child to teach, and that is lots of one-on-one. If your child needs it, it's going to be a major plus. You can probably push them a little bit harder. You can focus on lots of things. You could probably focus on more of their interests. You may have more time, you may not. It depends on your family. Another thing that I have learned is that my son will play with anybody. He doesn't care what their age is. Young, old, boy, girl. He'll play with anyone because he spent so much time playing by himself. Now, he is an extrovert. I am an introvert. I did really well as an only child because I played by myself and I was fine with that. Not all the time. I mean, I enjoyed being around other children, but he wants to be around other children as well. So part of it is teaching him how to be alone, and then also naturally he likes to be around people. So he will play with anybody. Another positive of only having one child is that they may get more of your resources. So if you only have one, don't think you're less of a homeschool mom because you only have one to teach and, you have so much time on your hands, which is not necessarily the case. You may be working part-time from home. You may have a full-time job from home and you're homeschooling. Don't be hard on yourself. You're doing a great job. So thank you guys for watching my video. If you have anything that you want to add, anything that I forgot, anything that I never thought of, please list it below because I would love to hear what you have to say, especially if you have a different experience from me. I would love to hear about it. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. Also, please subscribe and hit the little bell so you'll be notified when I post another video. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Every change